Evie West, and then my writer was Lynn Lucas, and I'm going to be reading a bit of my literary analysis of fear for the book Am Malala. Some 57,000 Pakistani soldiers and citizens have been killed by the Taliban in an ongoing war throughout the country of Pakistan. During the catastrophic events caused by the Taliban's insistent push to burden the Pakistani people with their disheartening ideas, Malala Yousafzai illustrates the communal fear felt by the Pakistani people through the book I Am Malala. She conveys this fear through quotes or poems authored by herself and others, the restrictions found within her school and education, and her focus on the risks that came with her decisions to speak out. Malala scattered quotes and poems throughout her book to emphasize the overall feeling of not only the chapter, but the entire book. One of her choice poems she quoted on page 140 was written by a resident in Nazi Germany, Martin E. Muller. First, they came for the communists, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I didn't speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for the Catholics, and I didn't speak out because I was not a Catholic. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. This quote explains how fear can drive people to silence. When individuals turn fear into power and attempts to lord over others, they're forcing them to become silent in fear for their lives. And this is exactly what the Taliban did. This poem beautifully describes a time in Pakistan that held no resemblance to beauty whatsoever. The Taliban threatened and killed people, causing a communal silence over the country, a silence only to be broken by the quivering voice of a timid 11-year-old girl. School had become one of Malala's only comforts and places of refuge, but the Taliban had affected even that. Before the repercussions and implications from the Taliban, Ms. Yousafzai had been allowed to attend her father's school, where she held high academic status with her health head high, books being cradled in arms, while her body was adorned with a cohesive uniform that united her with the other students from the school. My father always said that the most beautiful thing in a village in the morning is the sight of a child in a school uniform, but now we were afraid to wear them. This quote from Malala on page 135 clearly demonstrates the fear that had shown through even the youngest and most vulnerable Pakistani person. A fear so pungent that it kept adolescents from expressing their desire for an education by hiding their uniforms in school books, in fear that anyone they met on the street could be a Talib. The risks of speaking out against an organization as powerful, dominant, and authoritative as one such as the Taliban are tantalizingly immense. Malala's father couldn't even install a generator in order to pump fresh water for the school and their neighbors without crowds yelling, "If the Taliban find out you're giving us water in the month of Ramadan, they'll bomb us." And that was only for quietly providing a necessary need, not publicly speaking out on an important issue. For soon after that, someone approached him in order to exchange words in a hushed tone. "Don't speak more in this way. It's risky." The nation had become so petrified with fear that when someone was making good and reasonable attempts to alter the multitude of problems occurring, they all feared for his life. Then, soon after Malala's movement gained significant traction, her family found themselves with a threatening letter against Malala in her life. At the time, there was nothing to come of it, but this fear did drive them into a paranoia of locking doors, windows, and gates constantly, allowing the fear to have significant emotional impact on her whole family.
Thank you, Madison. Samantha.